Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Andy Oliver, and we are here. Docked in the port. What we're going to be doing over the next hour or so, we're going to be bringing you all the latest news, how to get about at the tall ships if you fancy coming down, because you've still got this afternoon what we've been doing during the week, because the tall ships actually arrived between Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, and there's up to about 80 ships of various sizes docked in the port of Sunderland, and some from the very small vessels right the way through to the massive big sort of pirate ships. But also, if you're coming down, bring your sun cream. Bring your sun cream and your water, because we came down here on Wednesday and we forgot to bring the sun cream, and we all ended up red, quite red and quite sore, which is why I've got my cap on, because my head is itching. So please, it is very, very hot. It's going to be about 24 today, but I would think it's probably a few degrees more, because we're right exposed down here on the port, and it's very windy with the sea breeze. So bring yourself some water, especially for the kids. Bring yourself your sun cream and a hat for the kids maybe, and yourself as well. It's very easy to get about. There's shuttles taking people from different areas, because there is different areas with different things going on. I'm going to be taking you through the next hour with all the highlights. But first, we took some wonderful footage of these wonderful vessels coming into the port of Sunderland over Tuesday and Wednesday. Have a look at this. Wonderful footage there of all those wonderful vessels approaching the port of Sunderland. To give you a little bit of an idea of the type of ships that are here, the ships are divided up into different letters. There's A, B, C and D. You've got, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've basically got the larger ships, which is the 1s and the A's, and then you've got the smaller vessels, which are the 4s and the D's. So they're basically different classes of vessels. Behind us here, we've got actually some of the really big ones, and we've got some of the small ones, but I'll be taking you through the actual history of the ones behind us, especially a little bit later on. Just to mention the zones. This festival has been wonderfully organised by the councils over many, many months, probably many years actually, and they've split it up into different zones. You've got zone A, B, C and D. We are actually sort of Zone B, and Zone A and B is where the ships are. Over the other side of the river, where the glass centre is where your Zone C and D is. Now, over there's all sorts of carnivals, all sorts of festivals going on. There's a stage over there with various acts on as well. So that's Zone C and D. But what happened here was the carnival. We had a wonderful, wonderful, colourful carnival. Lots of colour and spectacle in the carnival there. Now, as well as the carnival, there's lots and lots of really, really great acts. We've spoke to a few of the acts on the various stages. There's, there's singers, there's choirs who we'll touch on a little bit later on. There's even a ukulele band that's been here. But as well as that, we've got one of his, Emma Bloomfield, is a wonderful lady who has choreographed a wonderful story. Now, this took place on the Santa Maria, which is one of the biggest ships down the bottom of the port. We were there to capture Jack's story. This is wonderful. Just one of the many, many tremendous acts that have been on here during the week. Have a look at this and we'll be back very soon. So Jack Story there, one of the many acts that we've had on here at the Tall Ships Sunderland this week. Now, as it is, it's the last day today, and in a few hours' time, up to 80 ships of various different sizes and length and height will be setting off to Denmark on the race. I'll go through a little bit about the history and where they go. They go to 4 different places, actually, 4 different countries, European countries, on this wonderful race. But what we're going to do, just for a short time, I'm just going to show you one of the ships behind me. Now, we're going to basically class this as an A because it's a Class A ship, a Class A vessel, and it is a very, very big vessel. I'm just going to give you a little bit of history into the history of the ship behind me. So let's have a quick look. I'll just move out a shot for a moment. What you're looking at there is the Alexander von Humboldt II, and this has been sailing the high seas since about 2011. It's a civilian square rigger, offering tall ship voyages for everyone, so you can actually go on that, regardless of previous experience, so you can have a little trip on that if you like. Its home port is Bremerhaven, and it is height of, listen, 36.85 metres and a length of 57 metres. So it's owned and operated by the Deutsche Stephen Sail Training, based in the Baroque's home port, Bremerhaven, and it was built with a traditional bark rig resembling that of a windjammer built 150 years ago. It provides, actually, it's a non-profit charitable organisation that provides traditional high sea sailing for people of all ages, but especially for people of the ages 15 to 25. If you want to have a look on Twitter about that ship, it's at DSST_DE, at capitals DSST _ lowercase DE, if you want to go on Twitter and have a look at a bit more about the history. We'll be going through a few of the other smaller vessels and a right old pirate ship a little bit later on. But first, we were down at Zone B the other night and we captured Bollywood. Bollywood, yes, Bollywood. Very, very popular Bollywood. You've seen it on, obviously, in movies and on Britain's Got Talent and all sorts of shows on the telly. It is world famous. We captured the Bollywood performance. Here it goes. So the wonderful Bollywood spectacular that we captured on Thursday night. Now, as you can see, this port is very vast, and there's a lot of wonderful ships here this afternoon, as you can see. But as I said earlier, if you're coming down here this afternoon, they are going to set sail at about 2 o'clock. Is it about well, probably in about a few hours, they're going to start the race. And the race goes from this port to Denmark. Then what happens after that? It basically has a little bit of a breather. They have a bit of a breather, the crews, from between Denmark and Norway, and then the race resumes from Norway for the final stage. That's how the tall ships works, basically. It's about 4 different stages, but not all of them are races. And talking about races, basically, who does the races? The ships do, the vessels do, but the crews do as well. Of course, they are an important cog on the machine to get this tall ships race working. And we caught up with some of the crews at the crew parade, and there's a lot of them because there's 80 ships and there's a lot of crew on each one. So you can imagine how busy all the places down here have been on a night with the crews coming off the ships. We captured that, and this was the other night. Enjoy this. So the crew parade, of course, those hard-working crew that go all around the world on these tall ships deserve a bit of time off and deserve a bit of recognition, don't they? I saw a few of them earlier on today, actually harnessed to the sails. You know, they climbing up the sails at great heights and harnessing themselves. I mean, you've got to not suffer from vertigo to be a sailor, I tell you, and also have a good stomach. So as you can see behind me, there's just a few of the 80 ships that are docked here. The one you're looking at now, if you just bear with me, I'm actually going to spell it, because when I spell it, say the first few letters, because you can imagine why. So this is a wonderful replica 4. And I think this is one of those ships that the kids will really love, because with Pirates of the Caribbean and all those wonderful movies, that one, isn't it? Now, I was here at the port of Sunderland, and we caught up with some of those lovely people the other day. Have a look at this. Hi everyone. Well, we're here down on the harbour at the tall ship Sunderland, and I've come across these two lovely ladies, and this is going to be interesting. What, like in true blind date style? Remember blind date?
Yes, of course.
What's your name and where do you come from?
My name's Liz, and I come from York.
And my name's Janet, and I come from York.
Ah, so you've travelled about 60, 70 miles to be here. What's brought you up here? What's the pull of the tall ships?
Well, we've been following them, my husband and I, around the world really, because we've seen them in New Zealand and Australia and Liverpool recently, and we heard about the 4-day event. So
And my
amazing.
And yourself?
well, my highlight was meeting you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Z-list, you know. You don't recognise me, lots of people don't, but yeah. So, well, you've got a connection with this because there's a very important person that's connected with the tall ships. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, it's Jack Crawford, who's very well known in Sunderland. There's a statue of him in the garden in Sunderland, and various articles about him in the museum. And he climbed up the mast and put the flag on the Venables, which there's a model of over on the north side. Is that the north side? And he
Replaced it, didn't
replaced it, yeah. And basically, my husband's related to him, and he was a hero of Camperdown.
Wow.
The flag came down, you see, and that meant that they'd given up.
Yes, that's right.
And they hadn't given up. So he
Right.
climbed up the mast and put the flag back.
Yeah.
So
You know, I have to say, you're only the second people out of all these people here that we've interviewed, and the second people are actually connected to the tall ships.
Wow.
That's quite a thing, I think.
Yeah.
Picked us
Quite
out.
a find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
quite a find.
Well,
Yeah.
ladies, have a great time and
Thank
have
you
a
very
safe
much.
trip
It's been
back to
beautiful.
Yorkshire.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day.
And thank you also for the hospitality of Sunderland, because everyone's been so lovely and friendly and helpful.
Well, we're canny
there you
people up
are.
here. We're canny people.
Thank you, Sunderland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some wonderful people there visiting us here in Sunderland from all over the country. I think the first 4 people we actually spoke to weren't from actually Sunderland. We had one person from Watford, I think we had one person from Cleethorpes and one person from York. So you can see that there are a lot of people travelling the length and breadth of the country to come here and see the tall ships. What I also found was a lot of people had actually gone to Norway and gone to Liverpool, well, all over the country and all over the world to see the tall ships, not just in Sunderland. They actually follow them all around the world. So some wonderful fans that are following the tall ships. So as you can see, this we spoke about that vessel behind me just previously. As you can see, German ship there. But what we also found out this week was there's obviously a lot of big broadcasters here. We've had Tyne Tees, we've had Sun FM, the local radio station, but we've also had Look North, and Look North did a live broadcast here on Wednesday at dinner time, tea time as well. And one of those presenters is of course Jeff Brown. He is very known to us around the northeast for many years, has been a sports journalist as well. And I had a chance to catch up with Jeff and to talk to him everything about football and the tall ships. Have a look at this. Welcome to the Tall Ships 2018 here in Sunderland, and I'm joined by a very familiar face on our local TV. It's Jeff Brown from BBC Look North. Good afternoon, Jeff. How is the Tall Ships going for you up to now? We've only been here half a day, but how's it going?
It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. I just love the way that it's brought, especially this part of the city, back to life, really. I think there's a lot of people in Sunderland who don't know the history of their own city, and especially of Hendon, of this part of of what was the old town. I mean, this was historically where Sunderland started. You know, you've got the town moor, you've got the old East End, and I would imagine 30, 40 years ago, that was a place teeming with life.
You know, the heritage of the northeast, and that's where it comes from. It comes from the coal mines and the shipyards, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I mean, I can still remember we were in the shipping heritage in the area. Probably you've now got parts of the city coming to life, and there's more art, there's more music. We've got the cultural centre up by the Empire with the fire station and the Peacock and all that sort of opener.
Yes, very exposed with that sea breeze. If you're coming down here this afternoon, I was told many years ago not to work with you this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Never work with the joys. So as you can see, we've got some wonderful ships here. But I tell you, on Wednesday, I had a chat to some of them. Have a look at this one.
Hi, we come to see the tall ships. Lucky enough that they're very pleased and thankful that we're seeing all these ships. Fantastic.
Have you've seen them before?
No, it's the first time. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to seeing the rest of them come. Head behind.
The tall ships docks in many ports around the country, but is something because the race will be starting in a few hours, even less probably, so it's getting very near to race time. That ship is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably being used in a sort of pirate program or a high seas program, because it has a sort of an 18th century look about it. It's a wonderful vessel and a very big one, but once it gets those sails up, you really get the authenticity of that sort of pirate feeling and real feel, and especially for the kids, they're going to absolutely love it. But of course, we have been catching up with various people this week, including the general public. It's always nice to speak to the general public. Here's some of them now. So I'm here with another lady looking round here at the tall ships in Sunderland. Could you first tell us what's your name and where you've travelled from and where you're from?
I'm Margaret King, and originally from South Shields, with my sister for a week.
I mean, this is a great event for us, especially in the northeast, isn't it? Having something local so big, like worldwide event really, isn't it?
Yes, it's very good. But some of the tall ships, we saw them when we were in Norway.
Oh, wow.
Been in Norway recently, but a lot of years ago when we were there, we saw the Solane, the Christian Radic. And I've seen the tall ships when they were in Newcastle. But yes, it's good to see them here. It's bringing all the crowds.
I remember the one in Newcastle. That's good for a few years ago now, isn't it? And I remember as a kid being there and being enthralled by it. It's great for the whole family, but especially the kids, because they can grow up with the history of ships, can't they?
Oh yeah, it's just lovely to see them. I think everybody's enjoying themselves.
Well, have a great time. Thanks for joining us and have a safe trip back. Thank you. Look at that, the Class A German vessel preparing to sail. As we're getting near race time, you can see that most of the boats now are starting to get those sails out because we are getting very near to sail time. Until that obviously starts the race to Denmark, which is the second port of call in the second part of the race for the tall ships. What we're going to look at though is, as you can see, the difference between sizes, because still a great ship, but this next one, the Royalist, you can get an impression of what that German ship, how big it is when you go to the one next to it. Because this is a smaller class vessel. It's the TS Royalist, and this is well, it's a British ship, this one. It's a British vessel. It's actually the Sea Cadets flagship, taking cadets on sail training voyages. It was built in 2014, still a Class A actually, because of the length and the height of it's 24 metres, but the length is 23 metres, so it's still quite long. Its home port is Portsmouth. Time, heritage and nautical training run deep in the Sea Cadets culture, don't they? They taught this right from the start. For many young people, a voyage on a ship like that's certainly a life-changing experience, and it's a wonderful sense of achievement to get out leaders and seafarers and maybe guardians of our communities. At Sea Cadets Offshore, that's all one word there, Sea Cadets Offshore. If you put that in to Facebook search, you'll probably come up with that wonderful vessel and find out all the latest news and where it's off to, and maybe even updates on its voyage on this race. But of course, we've been speaking to many people here at the tall ships this week, and on Wednesday I caught up with some of the general public. Here we go. Well everyone, we're here at the tall ships again, and I'm joined by this lovely lady who's having a look round.
Hiya.
What's your name and where do you come? I'm doing this all morning, like blind date, sorry.
Yeah.
What's your name, where you come from?
Right, I'm Janice. I actually come from, or live in Cleethorpes, but I come from London.
Yeah. So you've travelled up from Cleethorpes today to see this?
Yep, to see this. I mean, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful to see all these ships. You know, and they've been sailing and for years, and the way they're looked after, it's marvellous. It really is.
Have you seen the tall ships before? Because I saw the tall ships a long time ago. I was about 16. You're talking about 30 years ago.
Oh, right.
When it was up
you
here.
look so young.
I know. Have you seen them before?
Not as many as this. I saw a few many years ago, and that was on the Thames in London, and that was good. But this is there's just so many and so much to see, and I can't wait, because as the week builds up, there's going to be more and more people. It'll be fantastic.
What is it about? I mean, as kids, we kind of grow up with pirates, and we kind of have this thing about ships and pirates. What is it about that? Like, when I was a kid, it was Captain Pugwash and on the telly. What is it about this sort of thing that it draws the crowd, do you think?
Probably the age of it, the age, and as you say, as a child, we all wanted to be pirates, and and when you see them going up the masts, the masts are so high. It's fantastic. It really is lovely, and I must admit, I nearly bought a captain's hat. But that is it. And I think for young children today who don't know the history, that's what it's all about. It's history.
It is all about history.
It is. It's for the youngsters, and that's how I feel about it anyway. But
well, thank you for joining us, and
You're
have a safe
welcome.
trip back to Cleethorpes. You've
Thank
got the
you.
weather anyway, so it's all good. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
So we're coming to nearly the end of the programme. Actually, it does fly past really quickly. We've had a wonderful week here at the Tall Ships, and it's been such a privilege. But what happened last night probably took thousands and thousands of people's breath away. On the Weir Bridge, we had some tightrope walkers, and they actually tightrope from the Weir Bridge, and it was actually a world record what they did last night. This is, think Cirque du Soleil and some. Treacherous, dangerous, but don't try it at home. But certainly have a watch of this, because the people that were here were truly treated to a true spectacle. Have a look at this amazing, amazing feat. Wow. That's some spectacle, isn't it? I think everybody that was down on the riverside there was absolutely, well, probably speechless watching that. That was actually a world record as well. We actually spoke to one of the gentlemen involved in that, one of the world record breakers. We were quite fortunate to do that, and just ask him a few questions about how on earth he becomes a tightrope walker like that. This is amazing. Watch this.
Yeah, I'm Chris Bulzini, and I'm a funambulist, which is a tightrope walker. So we're going to do the finale festival for the tall ships race, and along with some amazing local talent, some local boatsmen, yachtsmen, my friend from Belgium and myself will be walking on this wire from here, from this car park, Pansbank car park, all the way up to Wearmouth Bridge on the other side of the river. It'll be the first tightrope crossing of the River Wear in history. So there's a lot of backstage stuff goes in months before, weeks before, days before, a lot of preparation in the setup. But in the few minutes and hours just before we step onto the wire, the important thing is for us to focus on ourselves, both physically and mentally, to prepare for the journey on the wire. I married my wife Phoebe. She's not here today, but she and I got married above Wookey Hole, about 100 foot in the air, 3 years ago. It was the 1st of May, so we've just had our anniversary just last month.
Well, that's just about it here at the Tall Ships Race Sunderland 2018. What a week it's been. Of course, you still have time to get down here to the Port of Sunderland, or even to Whitburn or Seaburn, just a few miles along the road, to see the tall ships, because they're still docked, but the sails are going up, which means it's not long till race time, till they set off on the race to Denmark. A 4-stage journey that will take them all around the world. What a wonderful, wonderful sight, and it's been an absolutely fantastic week. I'm signing off now from myself, Andy, Mark and Dan. It's been a pleasure. Till next time, follow us on Facebook and of course cramtv.com. I'll catch you later. And I thought